Subaru says they're going to send us a Crosstrek Wilderness model designed to do some very rough off-roading. And here are the specs they have on my computer screen if you want to read them or freeze them. 9.3 inches of ground clearance, looking pretty good. And here's a spec sheet if you want to freeze it to take a longer look. I don't want to make this video too long. 182 horsepower, fuel economy, 25 in the city, 29 on the highway, and 27 combined. We'll find out in the real world when we take it out. And CVT transmission, and we can't have everything. And with the following options, as we see here, which has $22.70 of the price tag, total $35,560. All right, let's open the door, roll this baby out, see what it looks like. And here it is. Pretty nice looking, I think. A lot of people don't like the black cladded plastic, but it does protect the bodywork and keeps the paint from being scratched. Instead, you scratch the black plastic. What a deal, right? Got the Crosstrek emblem to let everybody know what you're driving. And a Subaru Wilderness emblem to let everybody know you forked up the extra money for the off-road package. One of the first things we do, we get a vehicle and check to see what the brand of tires are, because a lot of manufacturers are buying cheap junk, putting them on to save money. But Yokohama, that's a pretty good brand. No complaints there. We also check to see if there's a spare tire. There is. We check before we loaded up all this gym gear. I'm not going to pull it out here in the heat, but yeah, there is a spare tire under there. But remember, this is the deluxe model. You might not get a spare tire on the base Crosstrek, so you need to raise the lid and make sure you got one if you buy the vehicle. And as we do all our videos, we're going to take these headlights out in the dark and do some night driving and headlight test. We already did that video, posted on YouTube. If you didn't see it, we'll have a link for that, so you can watch it here. You won't miss anything. And with this high ground clearance and aggressive tires, we'll be taking this out in the dirt later on in the video. That's what it's for. And most cars, 4 cylinders, are an inline type. On Subarus, they're the boxer flat type, and that means you have 2 cylinders going straight out to the right and 2 cylinders going straight out to the left. Allows for a lot more compact engine as far as height goes. Allows you to have the hood go down a lot lower for better aerodynamics. And these are said to be a lot smoother at medium to low RPM, which they are. As far as disadvantages, nothing really, except when you go to high RPM, sometimes they're a little noisy. And some earlier Subarus had some gasket leaks when they get like 100,000 miles on them, but I think they fixed that up pretty well. These are pretty reliable engines if you take care of them. If you pay attention to the fuel economy numbers we talked about earlier on the price sheet, they sip gas if you lay off the throttle. Take it a little bit easy. Unfortunately, instead of a roll transmission with gears, we get a CVT automatic. I know it sucks, but they seem to be pretty reliable. Not problems like they have with the Nissans, so I guess I can give it a pass. You can shift manually by moving the stick over to the left if you want. And there are paddle shifters on the steering wheel if you want to choose manually. Aiming at Subaru, it is all-wheel drive. Traction on wet pavement and traction when we take it out in the dirt. Let's take a look at the cabin. Glove box, lots of room. If you take out that super thick owner's manual system where they got a lot of books in there, you want to read that, but have a lot of time on your hands. On the console, the 12-volt outlet, very close. A nice screen here. Kind of hard to see with all the glare we have today, but doesn't have as much glare in person as it does reflecting off the camera. A very nice, well-designed gauge cluster with round gauges the way it's supposed to be, and useful information in the middle. And even though I do have some reflections on my camera lens in person, there's no glare at all, so you're good there. In 90 miles of driving today, we're getting 25.4 mpg. Pretty good considering my lead foot. We'll be taking this out on the freeway to see what we can get, so don't go away. And the camera system's not the biggest I've seen, but it will do. Good quality, decent view. Got some nice heavy-duty rubber mats on the floors. We also get a rubber mat on the rear cargo area that has a lot of indents on it to theoretically prevent gear from sliding around, but it doesn't work too well. It's too slick, and I put my toolbox back here sliding back and forth, banging the tar out of everything. So nice effort, Subaru, but it doesn't work very good. As a rule, I'm not a fan of white paint on a vehicle. I like a little more color, but this black and white system looks pretty good, I think. So enough show and tell. Let's go out and do some driving. This vehicle has excellent power steering. Good feel, good feedback, responsive enough, feels hydraulic, which is a good thing. I don't think there's going to be any complaints with this steering system, and there certainly are not any from me. If this vehicle had the high output turbo engine found in some of the bigger Subaru models, well, that'd be great, but isn't cost effective. Let's do a 0 to 60 run here. Oh, that CVT transmission drone. A super quiet engine with a super loud transmission. Acceleration's adequate enough. You can always shift manually if you want to go quicker, and brakes work just fine. As we do in all our vehicles, we'll take some mild speed humps around 15 to 20 miles per hour. In this case, I do have all that gym gear in the back, so you're going to hear a bunch of clunking every time I hit the bump, but it's not the car, okay? Here comes bump number 1. Pretty smooth. I didn't feel too much. Here comes another one. Doing 20 miles per hour now. And here comes the nasty one. Aside from the rattling from the gym gear, very smooth, very impressive. Alright, about 100 miles of city commuting, 23.7 mpg. Let's reset this into a highway trip. Like so. One thing I like about this vehicle, it has a trip reset button right here on the dash. Don't have to scroll through a bunch of nonsense on the info screen. Thank you. Well, I was getting close to 30 mpg, but this traffic screw-up isn't helping much. Guess we'll just have to suck it up. One little minor complaint I have with this vehicle, certain times of the day the sun reflects off of the info screen, blinding you. In this case, blinding me. Only happens a couple hours a day if you're going in the wrong direction. Well, you see the idea here. This ends up being a problem for you. It never hurts to keep a spare rag laying around. Does eliminate the glare. Well, if you keep the cruise control at 75 miles per hour, you can do slightly better than this, but oops, what happened? Come back here. Alright, I forgot to deactivate the start-stop system. That's what that was. Turn it off now. 27.4 mpg, not bad considering the environment we were driving in. Not bad for something that's considered an off-road vehicle either. I'm not complaining. Now let's take this out and do some off-roading. Gotta stop by the ranch house and get some supplies. Yeah, it needs a little fixing up. Need to go down to Home Depot pretty soon. But we got a nice fireplace for entertaining guests. Alright, we're going to take this off-road. I'm told we need to find the X mode. Normal, snow and dirt, deep snow and mud. Let's try the... Well, dirt has nothing to do with snow. We're going in the dirt. Let's just try that for a while. You would think they would have a separate button for this somewhere, because a lot of people will buy this car and never know this is here. I guarantee you. By the way, if you hear any rattling, it's not the vehicle. I have some metal chairs in the back. They're going to make some clanking noises. This is a Subaru. They don't rattle. This isn't a Jeep. Shouldn't have said that. but I did anyway. We have some deep ruts here, but our ground clearance and approach angle is more than adequate to make this not a problem. One thing I like about this vehicle is its narrow width, which allows it to squeeze into narrow trails. Little roads, you can never do so in a full-size rig. And while we don't have a low-range gearing for heavy-duty use, this is more than adequate for light-duty use. And the suspension is doing a great job of absorbing impacts. I'm very impressed. Overall, this is a very well engineered car. So what's my take on this Subaru Crosstrek after a week of driving? Well, if you're planning on taking this off-road, this wilderness package is definitely worth it. Absolutely. You know, 34 grand isn't cheap. I mean, it's fully loaded with everything, and compared to other vehicles in this class, doesn't cost that much more. We were a bit disappointed with the headlight performance on the other video we did, so if you want to see what we're talking about, the link for that is coming up. Click and watch. Otherwise, though, I think this is a vehicle I would buy.